This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Trading houses are rushing to supply Russian Urals crude to the United States, where oil production was hammered by Hurricane Ida in August, three trading sources said on Friday. Ida, one of the most devastating hurricanes for oil companies operating in the U.S. Gulf of Mexico since storms in 2005, led to prolonged halts in the area's offshore oil output. About two-thirds of U.S. offshore production remains shut nearly 2 weeks after the hurricane made landfall. Trading firms, including Trafigura, Vital and Litasco, have secured about 5 million barrels of Russian Urals for loading in September and for delivery to the United States, the three sources told Reuters.
China's market regulator said on Friday companies should set bulk commodity prices reasonably, and vowed to come down hard on hoarders and speculators it accused of being behind a renewed rise in raw material costs. China's factory gate inflation hit a 13-year peak in August as high costs put more pressure on manufacturers in the world's second-largest economy. Prices for metallurgical coal rose to a record high this week, while Shanghai aluminium hit a 13-year peak.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
OPEC will likely revise down its 2022 oil demand growth forecast on Monday, two OPEC Plus sources said, as the spread of the Delta coronavirus variant puts the speed of a recovery in fuel use in doubt. On September 1, separate sources said the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and Allies, known as OPEC+, increased its 2022 oil demand forecast to 4.2 million barrels per day, BPD, from 3.28 million barrels of oil per day previously. The new figure was seen as optimistic by some in the group, likely prompting revisions, the two OPEC+ sources said. OPEC is scheduled to make its latest supply and demand forecasts public in a report on Monday.
A record run in energy prices that pushed European electricity costs to multi-year highs is unlikely to ease off before year-end, pointing to an expensive winter heating season for consumers. The key benchmark EU and French power contracts have both doubled so far this year due to a confluence of factors ranging from Asia's economic recovery, which sent related coal and gas prices soaring, to political will to drive up European carbon emission permits, higher oil prices and low local renewable output. The benchmark EU power contract, German Cal 2022 baseload power, on Friday set a new contract record of €97.25, $115.09, a megawatt-hour, MWH, while its French equivalent was just off a record €100.4 per megawatt-hour. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. A U.S. House of Representatives committee has voted to include language in a wider budget reconciliation package that would block Rio Tinto Limited from building its Resolution copper mine in Arizona. The San Carlos Apache tribe and other Native Americans say the mine would destroy sacred land where they hold religious ceremonies. Elected officials in nearby Superior, Arizona, say the mine is crucial for the region's economy. The House Natural Resources Committee late on Thursday folded the Save Oak Flat Act into the $3.5 trillion reconciliation spending measure. The full House could reverse the move and the legislation faces an uncertain fate in the U.S. Senate.
Gold edged lower on Friday amid uncertainty over the U.S. Federal Reserve's tapering timeline that kept most investors on the sidelines, with gains in the dollar this week putting bullion on course to mark its first weekly decline in 5. Spot gold fell 0.2% to $1,790.37 an ounce by 1:46 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 17:46 GMT, while U.S. gold futures settled 0.4% lower at $1,792.10 an ounce. Bart Mellick, head of commodity strategies at TD Securities, said a bounce in U.S. yields were preventing speculative funds from convincingly moving into gold.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
The U.S. government lifted its forecast for the country's corn harvest by 1.7% on Friday after farmers devoted more acres to the grain than previously reported. The domestic soybean production outlook also was raised after some timely rains in August, a critical development month for the oilseed, raised expectations of record yields in key production areas east of the Mississippi River. Traders have been closely monitoring U.S. crop development as a bumper harvest would help to ease fears of global food inflation after crop shortfalls in Brazil and other parts of the world.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.